Okay, so dear Dharma practitioners, be comfortable yourself and relax your body and keep your back straight, neck head straight in one line and your right palm on your left. So gently close your eyes and bring your attention to this bell sound, and while you're focusing to the sound, mentally relax your body, relax your mind and relax your breathing with your thoughts. So do nothing extra. Just follow the sound, please. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to the Blessed One, the Exalted One, the fully enlightened one. So, dear Dhamma practitioners, before we start our practice session, as usual, we'll take few minutes to understand ourselves how this practice will help for us to develop our conventional life, and at the same time, how that conventional development bring the spiritual success. So always you have to remember your conventional life and the spiritual life, this both interconnected. So you can't just separate one thing, and you can't just only work, you can't work only for one thing. So then for both of this, one of the major important tool that you need to develop is your awareness. It helps for your conventional development, at the same time, it will help for your spiritual development. So gaining awareness, it's always, remember, your awareness already there. There is nothing that you can bring from outside. It's already there. Only thing is, it is somewhere else. It's not at the right place. It's just scattered and everywhere. And maybe thinking about the past or the future is not in the moment. So what we need to do, we have to bring that awareness to the present moment from the beginning. And we have to develop our awareness to be in the moment and continue that. Not just for a moment and then again jump to whatever the previous place. No, that continuation to being in the moment is a skill that you have to develop. And at the same time, you are the one who gaining this all the benefit out of this development, not somebody else. This is the best that you can do to you. And we try to do a lot of good things in day-to-day life. And we try to maintain our life in this material world. Nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, just imagine, you can give everything to somebody, but if the person is not aware, what kind of outcome that person can create out of the conventional life or the material things? So this everything depends on your awareness. That's why it's fundamentally, that is the key point you have to develop. So out of this meditation, we try to sharp and clear and brush up your awareness. So you can do it only by practice, not by praying, thinking, visualizing, dreaming, not like that. So practicing, and that practice should always need to be right practice. Why it is called the right practice? Because already you have the awareness, and maybe if you develop the wrong practice, kind of like entering to a dream state or visualizing, mesmerizing yourself with the thoughts, then you again what happens? By the time you lose your awareness. So that's why when it comes to develop the awareness, in the very beginning, we develop our tranquility state and then develop the 4 foundations. Contemplate on the body, contemplate on the feelings, the sensation, contemplate on the mind, and contemplate on the phenomena. So that all 4 things mean it is very moment of your life. The body, in this very moment of the body. Feelings, it's this very moment of the feelings. The mind, the very moment of the mind. And the phenomena, the very moment of the phenomena. So then it will take you to understand deeply how this all come to be as they are. Another thing is that in day-to-day life, we develop this habitual pattern, always go with thoughts. But when it comes to life, just by thinking, dreaming, visualizing, planning, maybe it doesn't work for all the time. And it's take us to misperception. So today we are going to talk about that. When it comes to this life, mainly there are 4 things we misunderstand, misperception. So what is the perception mean? As you know, that 5 aggregates: form, feeling, perception, volition, and recognition. So what is here, the third place? You take this perception. So perceiving means you receiving the information from your eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind. So the perception means the very mental ability to interpret the world that you experience. The world mean what? The world mean the information that come to you through your eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind. So then when that informations come, there is a way that you analyze inside you. That analytical understanding depends on your past experience most of time. So that's why we are person to person to person, different the way we think. Each and every person experience different kind of perception. They express, they understand, they interpret the world in different ways. Why? Because we all have different previous experience. And using that experience, we try to recognize this world, and then what happened in that recognition, in that interpretation, your mental interpretation, you take wrong way. There are 4 things. What are those? The very first one, whatever come to our eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, the very impermanent things we take as permanence. That is the very first misperception. So the second one, all the suffering things we take as happiness. It's your mental ability. That is your mental behavior. There's nothing wrong with the world and nothing wrong with your eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, and your mental behavior. You used to take it that way. Another thing is these non-self things we take as self. The fourth one is these non-beautiful things we take as beautiful, beauty. Those are the things we misinterpret, misperception. So when we go to the first one, impermanence. Conventionally, even though we know things change, but deeply, we always have some kind of mental reaction, mental creation inside us. There is something. Otherwise, if it is not something, sometimes we're not going to react to that. That's something deeply inherent with the concrete, permanent idea. Even for a person, when you think about somebody, when you hear a word about, name about someone, when you think about that person, you don't have any deeper knowledge that that person kind of like a changeable, impermanent person. You always think there is somebody like that. That's how you react to that person. That's how you react to the world. So even these material things, whatever, come to you, even you hear something, smell something, taste something, always mentally you think it is permanent. There is something permanent. There is something exist like that. So there is a very important thing that you have to understand here. So that's mean the misperception means we misunderstand or misinterpret the world we experience. So that's mean that is not consciousness. So that is not the awareness. Form, feeling, perception, volition, recognition. The recognition come behind this all. So that's mean even that the behind this perception, something happened in you, maybe still you didn't experience that. You didn't think about it. Why? Because we are so busy with this misinterpretation and go with that world. So once you misinterpret or when you misperception, and whatever the reaction come out of that, always going to be wrong. So this is the struggle that we have. This is the tangle that we get into this samsara. And the suffering. That suffering within your own inner experience And there is no permanent, concrete, unchangeable happiness. But still, we all are look for some kind of happiness and satisfaction, which is not there. But in the conventional life, for the moment, we have some kind of happiness. And the thing is, we don't recognize it is only for the moment. So then you have to be very careful here. There's nothing wrong with the happiness, but we misperception that happiness. How? Because that happiness, whatever happened, only for the moment. But the thing is, we take it as a kind of like a permanent. Otherwise, if you see that happiness only for the moment and then disappear, you recognize the very nature of life. And the third one is non-self. So there is no permanent, concrete, unchangeable self within us or outside. But what happened in our mind, we always have this self-centered, egocentric idea. And that slowly expands to outside things. Always somebody. And sometimes when you think deeply, in that very moment, intellectually, you may understand, of course, there is no self. But the thing is this, it's not going to be there all the time. And suddenly, invisibly, you start to react to this I am, me. Why? Because this habitual pattern has a long history. Just right away, you can't sometimes get out of it. Unless you have a very strong kind of like a breakthrough, kind of like a breakup from your patterns. Then sometimes you suddenly awake. Otherwise, when everything go like normally or like ordinary life when you experience, and we find that deeper comfort within our self-centered idea. So the fourth one is non-beauty, but we see as beautiful. Why this? How this happened? Because whatever you mean by beautiful or beauty appear to that level because of many reasons. But we don't see that reasons. So it's like when we, oh, look at this, so beautiful. But it appear like this to my eye with the many reasons, but I don't see that. The one of the thing is the light. If that light disappear, I can't see this like this. And many parts in this. And it independently, separately the work, but later this all come together. So what happened to us? We take this whole thing as one. So when it come to that level, that is where the beauty arises. So then what happens? It again takes us to believe there is something. And so whatever you try to explain as beautiful, if you start to separate to pieces, there is no such a thing to experience as beautiful. Look at even ourselves, our body. The very reason is this. The very danger is this. And when you caught up on that moment of magic show, and in that very moment, sometimes you sacrifice your whole life and you spend so much money on it. You spend so much energy on it. And then later, it start to go back to that its own parts, that whatever came from where, whatever it came, it go back to that same place. So then what happened? That beauty start to disappear. So then you get disappointed because you attach to the beauty and believing it is beautiful. Of course, you saw it is beautiful, but the thing is, now what happened? By the time it disappeared. So then you get disappointed, depressed. Even regarding yourself, a lot of people in the world, they don't happy about themselves sometimes. The way they look, they have big issue about their own beauty. They're caught up in the imagination of some kind of picture. I want to be kind of like that. But they don't recognize that whatever the picture appear like that, it's a many particles come together. Many pixels come together, give this picture. So these little pieces everywhere bring this whole picture. And then we caught up it to beautiful. So then there is no such a thing, this outside world, as a beauty in deeper level. It is your misperception. And that's why one time what the Buddha did, Nate kama yani chitrani loke sankapparago purisasakam. So all this mental interpretation about the world, that's why you see something as beautiful and other person sees the same thing as ugly. If there is a beauty, then we all need to see that. But there is no such a thing to see. So then, understanding this is very necessary. So then, this is what we do always. Misperception, misinterpreter. Mentally, we interpret the world wrong way, up and down. So then what you need to do? Tranquility meditation means now you don't go with this mental experience, thoughts, you allow it to settle down. And then when the perception comes, you are not trying to interpret it. You just allow it to happen. That's it. Because hearing, you can't hear. It happened to you. You can't see, it happened to you. Smell, it happened to you. Taste, it happened to you. Sensation, it happened to you. So let it happen. And when it happens, can you be aware it is happening, but not to think about it? Because once you start to think about it, what happens? Your mind starts to interpret it. So in that tranquility state, once you let it be itself to this world, what happened? That whatever the impermanent things, you start to see as impermanence. Then there's no any effort that you have to do to try to do something. Only thing, whatever happened, you see it as it is. So then when the impermanence things, you recognize as impermanence. So now the mind in the kind of like a resting mood, but it aware and it know. And all the whatever, the changeable things, all the sufferings, and you recognize it as suffering. See things as it is, without adding or without coloring it. So then there is no kind of like something you jump and try to kind of like argue or kind of like judge about something. No. So because you see the true nature of it. So then whatever you experience, you see that the non-self, there's no permanent self. You recognize that. It's already there. Only thing is now you start to see it. See that in a certain way, in the tranquility meditation means it's kind of like there's nothing to do. You're just allowing things to settle down. And non-beauty. And you are not kind of trying to add some coloring or judgment or kind of like ideas, thoughts. You just see it as it is. So in that very level, you come to the very resting, comfortable mood inside you, because that misperception take you to spend so much energy, and then you start to work on it. Why? Because it is your interpretation, because it is the way that you want to see the world, and then you keep working on it. And that work process and itself become your identity. So otherwise, if you are capable to experience things and without interfering to that, you just let it be. So in that level, you no need to bring any kind of wisdom to this experience and kind of like memorize things. No. Because it already, the only thing is you just tune to that. Because impermanence already there, you just see it. Suffering already there, you just see it. Non-self already there, you just see it. Non-beauty already there, you just see it. You just see it within your eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, whatever the perception, whatever the information you perceive. So once you see that, there is no experiencer, because the experiencer arises because with your eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, the whatever that experience, that impermanence, you recognize as impermanence, suffering as suffering, non-self as non-self, and non-beauty as non-beauty. In that very one moment of recognition, you detach your self-centered, egocentric identity. Because this self-centered, egocentric identity, or the I am, arise out of the misperception. This perception misunderstood by the mind, misinterpreted by the mind, as a result of that, the I arise. So otherwise, not the experience. Listen this very carefully and try to digest it. Your experience nothing to do with yourself. Experience of how morning to night, how many things you experience. It already happened. It already gone. You have no idea. You don't know that. But how you recognize, oh, from morning to night, this is what I did, this is what I did, this is what I did. How you go with this world, how you interpret, how you bring this identity to you through your existence. Because whatever you interpret through your mind, giving you the life to yourself. So if you don't misinterpret anything that what happened to you, there is no self-identity for that things. That is where you harness with the nature. You merge with the nature. There is no such a person there. Such a person arises with the misinterpretation. And that's why once you misinterpret, that means you go with something which is not there. How about that? You believe something which is not there. You experience something as happiness which is not there. If there was a happiness, how we all every day suffering and looking for happiness, because if you experience the happiness, you experience it, you have it. But who can find the happiness? Beggars to millionaires, everybody again and again and again try to find it. This in endless journey, and this world is not enough, then they have planned to go to heaven. Why? To be happy. So that's mean. There's no such a thing. That's what you have to understand. Then how we know there's something? That is your misinterpretation. How our mind came to that interpretation, that misinterpretation. How this misperception arises from the past experience. Because we use the past, we use the previous habitual patterns to live in this very moment, which we call the memory. That memory is not that when you experience something, you know what it is. That also memory. But here it is not that. This memory means we depend from the past. You are biased to that your past. So because of that, what happens? Even though on the surface level, in this face value, you may see it is something new, but it is not something new. You are already repeating your own past. Look very carefully. Look very carefully. What you keep doing. Every day you do the same thing. Every day you do the same thing again and again and again and again deeper. You don't do new things. You do old things, you repeat the old one. Maybe you find a new way to repeat that old. So understanding this give you a deeper recognition to yourself. And then this misinterpretation You are not interfering to that. You are not trying to empower it. You withdraw from that misperception. So that is deeper your self-awareness. Because when something comes to your eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, you allow it to be just the experience. And you don't try to think over it. You don't try to overwrite your moment of experience. That means you are not overwrite your reality. You are become more comfortable with the reality. So this moment is a very brand new moment. So then you are accept it as like that without becoming biased to your past. So that's how your liberation, your freedom arise from you. So it is not a freedom that you gain from outside or something. So your inner habitual pattern, your own inner repetition, your own this unknown dark side of the desire, that is the one you need to get out from you, because that is what keep pushing you to do the same thing again and again and again. It come out of the misperception. So these four things you all have in somehow, in somewhere, maybe little, it separate to pieces everywhere. So develop the awareness, settle down with it, and little by little, while you practice meditation, and don't try to misinterpret your experience. Just let it be, recognize it as it is. And then what will happen? So by the time you develop, you advance, you master this mechanism, and then now you know to be aware with your own mind when something experience without developing misperception, you allow it to be a perception. That's it. Perception, nothing wrong. Perception have, but the problem, misperception. So misperception arise out of your own mental interference, thoughts. So once you recognize this, impermanent, you allow impermanence to be impermanence, suffering to be suffering. Nothing wrong with suffering. Problem is, sometimes we don't see the suffering exactly as suffering. And problem is, we are the one who made the mistake. We take the suffering, wrapping the happiness label. So who's wrong then? Sometimes people have big argument about the Buddha, about this suffering. Because he's the one who to introduce this to the world, in a very plain, in a blank way, it's without adding any colors to it. That's why right away the world is suffering. And everybody get kind of like a disappointed, desperate. It's kind of like a depressed. Because life is suffering. How is it possible? There should be happiness. This is happy, that is happy. So whatever you take as happiness, that is your interpretation about the suffering, your mental interpretation. Look at that, whatever you took as happiness, what it brought to you later. Look at your own life. What you think, that what you thought as happiness is the very reason to be unhappy for you. If they are, just imagine for a moment, just a imagination. In your life, you didn't pick up anything as happiness. If you had that wisdom, there is nothing that make you unhappy. That's the thing. So your own interpretation of happiness bounce back to you sub-attached to you, and that is why you are suffering. Because the very real nature of everything is suffering. So you accept it. That make you happy. But what we does, we misinterpret it. We go against the reality. We have our own dharma, not the reality. Everybody have their own God. Everybody have own dharma. Sometimes people have their own meditation. They have their own life. They have their own samsaric journey. Why? Because misperception. Once the day you come to understand that misperception, the mental interpretation about the things we perceive, and if you allow it to happen as it is, if you allow it to happen as it is, another person allow it to happen as it is, all of us allow it to happen as it is, we don't have any more self-identity to argue about this should be like that, that should be like that. And that's going to be the real moment of happiness. And everybody not going to get it. But there is a possibility for you. Why? Because that is the reality. So then, I think you have enough experience yourself to understand what you think doesn't work in your life. Still sometimes somewhere in this head, somewhere in the corner, still we sometimes think, no, I can do this. I can do this. But if you look very carefully, you will recognize that what you think doesn't work. So then you have to accept something beyond that what you think. Just try to see that. And that is where you're not going to bring this misperception. So in that way, impermanence as impermanence, suffering as suffering, non-self as non-self, non-beauty as non-beauty. You end the journey. So with that, let's get into practice a little bit now. So your right palm on your left, neck head straight in one line, and be comfortable with your posture. So bring attention to your body, scan head to toes yourself and say so Pateva, or may I be well and happy 3 times. Take a moment and think. We gathered here in this moment to practice this ancient meditation technique. All the Buddhas, all the enlightened masters followed this path and achieved wisdom. So we also gathered here to accumulate that knowledge. In this moment with this sitting, may my body become more comfortable, may my breath be more smooth, may no difficulties come to me, may all the success come to me. Also think for a moment, this is the last moment we're spending in this very lifetime, and detach your mind from all your past memories and as well as any kind of future thoughts. Just try to remain in the present moment, observing the sensation of your inhalation and exhalation. So in the beginning, deeply and gently, breathe in, breathe out 3 times and find the sensation, please. And allow your inhalations, exhalations happen itself. And when it happens, through the sensation, recognize it, do nothing extra. Bring attention to your body, please. Observe your posture. We cultivate loving kindness and compassion in our heart and radiate it as a light through entire your compound, village, city, state, country, world, around this universe. Also, as far as you can, through galaxies, other planets, the stars. Reminding yourself like this. With clear intention, mentally repeat after me. May all living beings in this universe be well and happy. May everyone be happy and safe, and may their hearts be filled with joy. May all living beings live in security and in peace. Beings who are frail or strong, tall or short, big or small, visible or not visible, near or far away, already born or yet to be born. May all of them dwell in perfect tranquility. Let no one do harm to anyone. Let no one put the life of anyone in danger. Let no one out of anger or ill will wish anyone any harm. Expand the loving kindness and compassion beginning from your heart. Forward. Visualize yourself and send it as a light. To your backside. To your left side. And to your right side. Downward. And upward. To all 6 directions at once. Like the moon, the sun, spread the light, spread the energy, without any condition, without any limitation, without any resistance or without any judgment. Let your heart to shine with the loving kindness and compassion from the bottom of it, with the maximum effort to the highest. Wishing yourself, may all living beings in this universe be well and happy. Say sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So first of all, we offer this practice to the great qualities of the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha. Also, by the power of this meritorious deed, may all of us attain to the supreme bliss of Nibbana. May all your guardian angels and deities will receive these merits and increase their longevity and protect all of you from any kind of planetary influences or any ill effects. Ittavata cammehi sampadam punya sampadam sabbe deva numodantu sabba sampatti siddhya sabbe bhuta numodantu sabba sampatti siddhya sabbe satta numodantu sabba sampatti siddhya Imaya dhamma nudhamma patipattiya buddham pujemi dhammam pujemi sangham pujemi Addaya imaya patipattiya jati chara dimaranam ha paribunjissami Idamme punya kammang asavakkaya vahang hotu sabba dukkha pamuncatu. Bless you.